Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. This is going to be a video about CBDCs. It's going to be digital currency focused. And really what inspired this video, this is a video that I've had in the pipelines since this initial article was published. Now, this article was published by the European Central Bank. And essentially, it's talking about their digital euro. Now, we're not just going to look at this, but we're going to be getting or reviewing the key takeaways from this. We're also going to be talking about the fact that the United States is doing a similar thing. They are potentially actually further ahead than the digital euro, as they are already drilling, a pilot program or piloting a digital dollar. And then actually we have the likes of China, which are already actively using their CBDC digital yuan. And you can see that the spending surpasses 100 billion yuan. So it's coming, ladies and gentlemen. This is complete financial surveillance. And what comes as a result of this? Have we potentially seen some of it with what happened in Canada when people had their bank accounts shut down? It's not too out of the realms of possibility. Basically, my concern with this is it gives governments complete control over their citizens. Governments already control the masses through finance. It's why I'm such an advocate for it. It's why I talk about it all the time and have such an interest in it. On the surface, and certainly if you go to a university or your teacher teaches it you, it's boring as hell, right? It's kind of like history, for example, is one of the most exciting and just amazing things to study. When you study true history, when you study interesting history, it's fantastic. But in school, it's boring. Well, I didn't find it that boring in school, but typically it's extremely boring. Finance is the same thing, but when you actually step into the real world of finance and you see how it all works, it is absolutely fascinating, guys. And it is the very tool that has been used to control the masses. It's what keeps people a slave. And if you do not think you are a slave, don't go to work tomorrow. You've got free will to do that. Don't go to work. What's making you do that? It's a financial slavery that we find ourselves in, something I'm a big advocate of on this channel. And I'm going to say it regardless of the repercussions that I may endure as a result of saying it. So we're going to be going over this ECB article. This ECB article essentially goes on to say that in 2023, which is the current year that we're in, towards the end of 2023, they're essentially going to potentially look to embed it and actually come up with ways that they can move to it. Of course, we've got this sort of already existing system. What happens with that? Well, they'll just merge it, in my opinion. Maybe there's a kind of sovereign debt crisis, like potentially the yield curve is predicting that happens, and then the old horse dies and we get onto the new one, which is, of course, blockchain ran. But one thing I want to add is with the central bankers, you'll notice that they all use the terminology DLT. It sounds like a sandwich, right? Distributed ledger technology. And the reason they're doing this, and Christine Lagarde said this herself, is because they want to move away from Bitcoin. It's my opinion, and I may be wrong on this, it's just my opinion, and take that for what it is, that Bitcoin will not be the winner. I don't think Bitcoin is going to stay on the top spot for very long. And I actually think that governments around the world have gone to war for much less than somebody threatening their financial stability. I think, and another problem I've got with Bitcoin is one of the main laws of Bitcoin is that its price goes up. If Bitcoin's price didn't go up, how many people would be using it? And that's just the nature of the beast in terms of, how we're all money motivated to a degree. But that's for another video. Maybe I'll do a separate video. If anyone wants a video on why I don't think Bitcoin will succeed, and I've said it's kind of like being a typewriter maximalist, technology evolves. But I do think there are some pure and unique features about Bitcoin. And I love Bitcoin. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Bitcoin in terms I wouldn't be talking about the crypto space. We wouldn't have the cryptos that we have today. Everything took from Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the forefather of this industry, and we owe it a hell of a lot. And Satoshi, whoever he, she, or they are. So let's get into this article before I ramble on and bore everybody to death. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my face. Let's talk about it. So the ECB publishes second progress report on the digital euro investigation phase. So they're currently investigating. So they're not quite as far as the New York Fed, which has launched a digital dollar program with big banks. The ECB has published the second progress report on the investigation phase of a digital euro. It outlines the developments made since the first progress report, which was published in September 2022. So around the same time that the United States published theirs, their kind of evolution from this, they haven't published a new report, but what they have done is actually go ahead and launch a dollar pilot program with some of the largest banks, including BYN Mellon, Citi, HSBC, MasterCard, PNC Bank, and so on and so forth, Wells Fargo and the likes. But we will talk about that. Now, this pilot program is coming to an end soon. What does that mean for the industry? Are they now going to implement it? We will see. But let's focus on this report from the ECB. The report details a second set of designs and distribution options that were recently endorsed by the Governing Council and describes the role of the Euro system and supervised intermediaries in the digital Euro system, i.e. the role of intermediaries responsible for the onboarding of end users, anti-money laundering checks, and consumer-facing services, such as payment initiation solutions. The settlement model, which defines who will settle online or offline transactions. So this is a system that will work offline. I think cash is actually not a bad, if the governments didn't control the fiat systems, cash is fine. You know, if you want to be anonymous, use cash. If you don't want to be anonymous, cash works. And there's been a real effort for them to get rid of cash, basically so that they can move into this financial sort of surveillance-like state. You know, it's very biblical. It's very Orwellian, the kind of direction that we're moving towards. I've always said this, as much as I love blockchain, I'm a blockchain enthusiast before I'm anything at this point. There are going to be negative things that this technology brings, just like there are with any technological revolution. There's always negative. The motoring industry, for example, you've got pollution, you've got deaths that were associated with it. You know, the internet, you've got the corruption of youth, you've got amazing things that come with it, but you've got also negative things. The television industry, the phone industry. Look at kids nowadays. They're basically born with an iPad, you know, and crypto and blockchain will be no different. And there's pros and cons to everything in life, guys. You've just got to find them. So the way in which funding and defunding will take place to allow users to convert cash and money from a bank account into a digital euro. So initially, just like everything, this will start up as an option, something that you can use. You know, I think it's only 3% of currency is actually cash. The vast majority is already digital. But this is the difference between the digital systems that we have now is they're ran on systems, whereas the digital euro will be its own living, breathing blockchain that, of course, they will validate. It's like the banks will be kind of like the validators, kind of like, you know, anyway, I don't think anyone would be able to validate the network, kind of like Bitcoin. So the distribution model, a digital euro scheme is envisaged since it is best suited to guaranteeing that all euro areas citizens can pay and be paid in a digital euro. In 2023, the ECB will further assess a number of designs and distribution options, and in the second half of the year, present an overall design of the digital euro to the Governing Council. So this will just be a case of them essentially giving that the thumbs up, and then they'll essentially look to implement it, kind of like, you know, a trial phase that the New York Fed and the United States are doing. So the ECB continues to exchange views and actively engage with a broad range of stakeholders, including at a political level, as well as market participants and society at large. The digital euro is a common European project and can only be successful if it meets all users' needs. The ECB and the Euro Area National Central Bank launched the investigation phase of the digital euro project in October 2021. It aims to address key issues regarding the design and distribution of the digital euro. The ECB Governing Council will review the outcome of the investigation phase in autumn 2023 and decide whether to proceed to a realization phase. So this is the next phase. It's coming, in my opinion, guys. It's absolutely coming. This is the way things are going. Again, this is going to be total financial. This is the actual report. This is going to be total financial sort of surveillance. This is a tentative timeline right here. You can see, they aren't playing around with this, and they're actually looking in Q3 to get a decision made and possibly launch the realization phase where they'll look to implement it. So we could have a digital euro, potentially a digital dollar. We've already got a digital yuan coming very, very soon. There are actually benefits to having CBDCs. It'll be fast. You won't have things go missing. You'll know where everything is. It'll be very easily trackable, and maybe there are perks that come as a result of that. But even if you're not planning on using anything for nefarious activities, I don't like the idea that the government could literally go, okay, we're going to just switch them off. We're going to just switch them off because maybe, there's a social system that permits that you shouldn't be able to, the government don't like you enough to permit that you shouldn't be able to. We've seen the governments around the world actually do this to citizens before, where they've shut down bank accounts, they've shut down lines of credit, you name it. And with a digital euro, they'll be able to do that at will for potentially anybody that doesn't agree with their agenda. Not saying that's 100% how it's going to play out, but again, I just think it's very George Orwellian, and I'm really just here to sort of report on it and say it's coming, guys. There's no escaping it. This was published by the White House. Technical possibilities for a US central bank, digital currency. This was the report. It was quite an interesting read. I'll leave both links to these in the description. Following on from this, in November, so September, November, the month after, the New York Fed launched a digital dollar pilot program with big banks. 9 US financial institutions, including Citibank, Wells Fargo, and MasterCard, launched a pilot program working with the Federal Reserve Bank of New York to test the feasibility of digital dollars based on distributed ledger technology. See, that's this DLT is what they're going to continue to brand it as. Key takeaways: several US financial institutions are collaborating to test feasible of the US dollar. The pilot program will run for 12 weeks in a test environment and will involve central banks, commercial banks, and regulated non-banks. So it's going to be very interesting. It also goes to talk about China's testing digital yuan. The transactions using the digital yuan surpassed 100 billion yuan, roughly around about $14 billion as of August the 31st. The People Banks of China reported on October the 12th, up from around 88 billion. So this has been going for a while. This is not a recent article, by the way, guys. This is obviously coming October 2022. So it's kind of recent. Local government ran almost 30 coupon programs promoting to use the digital yuan this year. China daily reported subsidies to promote the use. So it's very interesting what's going on. Again, I'm not totally on board with what maybe they're trying to do or not trying to do. But for the purposes of this video, all I'm really doing is reporting on it, letting you guys know where it's kind of at and what's coming down the road. This is a very recent article, so is this stuff, only months old, including the China Yuan report. All I've got for you in this video, guys, if you have enjoyed the content, a like is always appreciated, so is a comment. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot for watching, ladies and gents.